Hi, and welcome back to Lighten Your Load VA Support. If we haven't met yet, I'm Melissa, a former certified nursing assistant with personal caregiving experience caring for my grandmother, father, and husband, all while balancing life as a busy stay at home mom and managing chronic health issues of my own. As spouses, parents, and especially business owners, we can often find ourselves feeling like we have 1,000 open tabs in our brains between family schedules, keeping up with the house and bills, and trying to grow our businesses. We're so busy and built up on adrenaline that we end up running on memory, like a computer just going through the motions. But running our households and especially our businesses this way isn't realistic for the long run. Eventually, our mental storage hits max capacity. And when it does, something gives our health, our focus, or our ability to show up fully for our clients and loved ones. And if this is resonating with you, please know you're not alone and you're not a bad spouse, parent, or business owner. It's just a sign that it's time to take a deep breath, step back, and gently rebuild your systems so that you can be more present and successful long term without the fear of burnout. So let's start by talking about what happens when your brain gets stuck in backload mode and what you can do to brain dump everything out of your head so you can finally create the mental space to think clearly and take better action. So, to start off, I have a question for you. How many times have you tried to sit down to focus on one task, only to be bombarded by your brain with a list of other things that suddenly feel urgent and can't wait? That laundry hamper that's overflowing, the wellness visits that you need to schedule for yourself or another family member, or that stack of bills that you know needs to be paid by the end of the week. And because you know things are disorganized or out of control, you procrastinate on actually fixing them, telling yourself, once I get through this week, things will calm down. But what happens? You get through the end of the week and the chaos is still there. You keep pushing, keep distracting yourself with what feels urgent. And the real changes, the ones that would actually help bring peace to your mind, never happen. I know that cycle well. I remember a season when everything felt urgent. The laundry, the client work, the doctor's appointments, the bills. Every task and thought felt like it was competing for space in my mind, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't seem to get ahead. I always felt like I was behind. And the truth was, I wasn't struggling with motivation, I was struggling with mental overload. My brain had become my storage system for everything: client notes, grocery list, reminders for appointments, even the emotional weight of caregiving and parenting. And because it all lived up here in my head, I never really got a break. Even when I sat down to rest, my brain was still spinning, replaying, remembering, trying not to forget something important, or thinking of something else that I hadn't thought about in a while. For me personally, as someone who deals with an underlying anxiety disorder, setting boundaries and asking for help is something I really had to work on. Instead of allowing myself to just push through and do everything that needs to get done, especially around the house, I have to get brave and actually ask for help. And I've been working on asking for help more frequently from my husband. And together, we've worked hard to create a system that works for us and tracking what needs to be done and how we can keep ahead and track daily and weekly chores with a sheet that works for us or a system that works for us in terms of checking it off with a checkbox and marking things off with our initials when we're done so that way we know who did what before and what still needs to get done. And because we decided to make this a laminated sheet, it makes it so easy that we can just erase it and reuse it again next week. And for placement, we keep it by our family calendar so it's visible and easy to glance at every day. It sounds so simple. I get it. It sounds so simple, but having it out in the open and not just living in my head has made such a difference. I stopped waiting until I hit crisis mode, and my husband was able to visually see every day what needs to be done. And so we could work together more as a team to give me the bandwidth I need to be able to focus my attention elsewhere. The mental weight starting to lift has meant everything to me, and knowing that I wasn't carrying everything alone, and that once that happened, I've noticed that I've been able to be more creative in my workflow now and my business, and I'm not feeling like I'm in constant anxiety mode, and I can think clearly again. So ideas have started coming more naturally again, and I'm not reacting in stress mode like I was before. And I want you to realize that if this is you, I want you to know that you're not alone. And to remember that our brains are not meant, excuse me, to be storage units. They are meant to hold things for a short amount of time, and everything from appointments, ideas, worries, it really needs to get out of our head at some point because we can't hold everything in our brain for a long period of time. And remember, even when you're not actively working on your business or necessarily cleaning, cooking, or doing laundry, your brain is still on the go in some capacity. It's running in the background, trying to remember what it needs to hold on to. So this is where we need to think about how we can give our brain breaks. How can we help it release before it gets stuck in that fog of distraction, anxiety, and overwhelm? That's where externalization comes in. Because the truth is, clarity doesn't start with doing more, it starts with getting things out of your head and into a system that you can actually visually see. By realizing that your brain doesn't need more information thrown at it, but that it actually needs less, you are able to give yourself permission to pause the constant intake. Your mind doesn't need more podcasts, more tips, or more reminders. It just needs some of that information removed regularly. So there's room for new ideas, calm focus, and creativity to come back in. That's why having a system to store things externally matters. It keeps your brain from being the permanent storage unit, so it can go back to what it does best, thinking clearly and connecting the dots and creating. So knowing that our brains can't be our default storage log indefinitely, how can we start getting everything out of our heads, every appointment, idea, and worry, like I said before, so we can get our minds back to a reset and reboot that it's probably been waiting for months, if not years. So here's an idea that I want you to try this week. I want you to take time to do what I call a calm brain dump, okay? Grab a piece of paper or a digital note or even a whiteboard, just something that you can at least just visually get the information out of your brain. Then I want you to write down everything that's been swirling in your mind. Don't organize it, okay? Don't try to worry about writing a perfect list here, okay? The idea here is we're just trying to get it out of your head, okay? You're trying to just capture it. So write anything in terms of like to-dos, reminders, ideas, worries, everything. Just get it all out. Now, once it's all out, I want you to take a deep breath. Why do I want you to take a deep breath? It's because the pause matters. You've already created space in your mind by just writing it down and getting it out of your head and getting it onto some sort of external tool. And then I want you to start gently sorting through what you've written. Here's some questions you can use. What actually needs my attention this week? What could be delegated or shared? So thinking about for me with my story, the housework, having time to work on my business, which is a priority, and other things like pay bills and whatnot while I'm in my office, and having a list that my husband and I can leverage for what needs to get done and when in our household has made it so I can do that, and then that way I know what needs to be done when I'm done with work for the day, so it's fair and I can pick up the slack. So, and then the last question is, what simply needs to be acknowledged or released from now? And this is where I would think about your fears, your worries. Sometimes just writing it out and releasing and then acknowledging that you're having these feelings or concerns can be all you need. So remember, the goal here isn't perfection. It's simply to get you to start shifting from holding everything to seeing everything. Because when you can see it, you can start making calm, intentional, realistic decisions about what really matters. So I want the focus today to not be about throwing another strategy or system at you. Instead, I just want you to start paying attention to noticing how you can give your brain small breaks throughout your busy day so you're releasing frequently and not holding on to too much information for too long. And again, we're not trying to do everything, all the steps in one day. We're simply trying to get you to start small. So set a timer on your phone, take 5 minutes, do your brain dump, and then take that deep breath, and then just get them out of your brain and out of your heart and your mind.